Hey everybody, Glitchup here, aka the original card game for the win, and I just felt like doing something a little different for a while. I may do a bit more questing off camera later, but I just want to kind of show off something a bit special, and that's kind of just doing a bit of this deck here, my full color Weatherlight Legacy deck. And this one, it took a while to really fully produce, and I'm still not sure if I could do some things in the game, but I might try some interesting experimenting off camera and just report on my results later, because if it works out, it'll be really wild. Other than Joran here, a lot of the cards, well actually, pretty much all the cards in this deck have something to do with the story of the Weatherlight. Her original crew, her later crew, some of the things that they went through and that kind of came to a head after their adventures. So it's a massive multicolored deck with a lot of interesting stuff to it. And unlike most decks that I do, it also has an extensive sideboard. It also has a way more insane mana, like, land ratio than normal, because it's true multicolor, and you kind of gotta boost your lands a bit to help yourself have what you need. So that's something. Also, a few things that have ways of getting whatever mana you want, which is not exactly the normal way of doing things, but yeah, it's something that used to be a lot more common. There used to be very special lands that have like some consequence and the ability to get a mana of any color, pretty much. So it used to be more of a thing. See, do I even have... Just a quick check. Do I even have the... a good example of that in here? I might not. I have the Triomes. They're all really good. Gateway Plaza is awesome. Plaza of Harmony. Interesting, it works with gates only, but it has some interesting, cool things about it. But yeah, other than Joran, a lot of this has to do with the tale of the Weatherlight. And I might kind of do it as I play along into the history of why these characters and events are so special now. A quick look at the sideboard is a bit different because it doesn't have as much to do with the Weatherlight itself. Like, these are mostly just good cards to have as bonuses. There's a little bit that connects with the Weatherlight, because it just kind of goes along with the conclusion of Nicol Bolas and what he was heading to, because some of this has to do with the War of the Spark and what led up to those events, but at the same time, not as much. And the reason why I decided to do that was partially because of one very important character to the story of the Weatherlight, and that is Karn. And his special ability is mainly to pull an artifact card out from outside the game. And in according to like tournament regulations, that goes with only your sideboard. Like, you can't like carry a lot of extra stuff just to use that. And that's kind of what they settled on with MTG Arena, is you can't do that with like your whole collection. Like, I can't pull let me see, good example here. Like, because I don't have it in my sideboard, but I do have it collected. Let's see. Oh yeah, good. No, that's not as associated. Trying to find a white artifact that would deal with that, because nope, that's a rune. Shining Armor. It's an artifact, but just because I own it, since I don't have it in my sideboard, I wouldn't be able to pull it with Karn. So there's that. So it does have some limitations to that. So I just had some really good things, like Karn just knows how to pull artifacts from any plane just cause. So there's that one is a pretty big deal. Now, I'm also going to show that that is a historic deck, and I can just hit play to play it. I don't have to do anything else. It's like play is officially like historic but not ranked. It's like just pretty much anything goes, just have some fun. You still get quests for it if you have some. So if you have things about playing general spell colors, it'll click. It counts your wins for the day and or week, and so you can get like quest progress towards your experience and your mastery level or whatever it is. Set mastery for whatever's current mastery pass for the extra bonuses, if you've got one. I don't yet, but as you can see, I'm making progress. I'm close to halfway there. Mastery pass is 3,000 something or other gems. That may sound like a lot, but it's at least possible now. It used to not be to do that for free, or in terms of like actual monetary investment, because gems are usually bought with actual money. But there are some ways of earning gems in game now, so that cleared that up. Of course, the people will always pay to accelerate their wins. But for now, I'm just going to show what I can just do playing around with this, and if quest progress happens to trigger, we'll see. I have other things I can do for my quests, but I just want to show this amazing deck design. It's not exactly reliable, which is why it's a good deck to just play. It is, however, awesome, and it kind of tells a story, and that's another thing that makes it really interesting. Okay, so for Weatherlight itself. Oh, that is excellent in its own way. I will wait several turns to check that out. So let's see here. I don't have any creatures there. Time of Ice is interesting as to how it works. Oh, they're calling... Oh, they got Thriving Bluff, so they called that. Interesting that it called out before it hit the field. Usually whenever you see things that have to have something called, it's called when it comes out. In terms of the little announcement. They got a Mirror Shield. Okay, if I do this correctly, I'll be able to have the Weatherlight itself out, even if I don't have a particular crew for it yet. However, I'll also be able to soon have enough mana to play Yorion. That'd be very interesting, having Yorion out. Whoa! Holy smokes! Joira! Joira! I know it's I will have crew for you. Joira, Weatherlight captain. She's the one who's the second generation of the Weatherlight's crew. So that's right there. Like she restored the Weatherlight to operation, and eventually started using it more. Oh, I can't tap it because Mirror Shield. It would have been interesting to try, but it's got the Weatherlight herself. Belduk, Keeper of the Flame. They had this... It's always nice to see that beautiful ship just flying around. No attacks, because that thing will definitely block, even if it can't do any actual damage. Because but she'll grow very quickly. Yeah, because of that. Core Spirit Dancer is an interesting one. I think it's from Jumpstart. Oh, you would. Interesting thought. You can crew something and they don't have to remain on the field afterwards. Yeah, so this means I blocked their attempt to attack. Okay, I can do this. And I can prime Yorion. that does not have flying. Velduk. It's always nice to have a legendary pilot. Yeah, he keeps the Flame of Keld. Keld was something that the Weatherlight crew had over time had dealings with. Including the second generation, actually, because that could come in handy, even though that thing has hexproof, but something else comes up? Well, I could just grab a permanent. I could grab the Mirror Shield itself. Or I could grab him, because I will have plenty of white after a while. Wow, that thing will have a ton of attack. Okay, do I want to... Do I want to blink Joran, or... Okay. I think I'll do this a little bit later, actually. Weatherlight, we're going in for a ride. Captain's to say. The Capuchin. I think I'll take Captain's to say. And I will Joran. Both of you two show up in a moment. That would be interesting. Might use that in a little while. Oh, they're going to lifelink it up. Only had enough blue to use Pulsed Clutches. Could grab Heliod. This is why this one is actually a pretty dangerous card. The more you emphasize putting auras on it, it gets ridiculous. Velduk, sorry, you're gonna have to take one for the team. Yeah, that thing has a ridiculous amount on it. Could use Captain's to say, but... I can't tap that. Be good if I could do both. Do I have enough mana? I'm not sure. So it's kind of expensive. It'd be funny if I just steal a god. Yeah, I'm just stealing a god card. Will I be able to crew anytime? Wait a moment. I thought I had the ability to crew this. What's going on? Why did it not let me crew that? Oh yeah, that's right. He wasn't technically a creature. So he didn't count on the field. did get some progress there, so let's just continue on. Till maybe I get a few wins, and or a bit of quest progress. But yeah, that card, darn lips, Core Spirit Dancer, is actually very strong if you just throw auras at it like crazy. Because it keeps gaining +2/+2 with each aura attached. That's actually kind of ridiculous when you think about it. I know. A bit gambly as to how I've been handling things. But I'm also just playing for fun. Oh. Llanowar Elves. The Forest of Llanowar. Ah, good adventures they had that direction. Very nice. And such famous elves. Always giving of extra mana. Oh, they got a shrine deck? I see. Well, I've got to say hello with an elf. Ah, they got the Chromatic Lantern. Zagath Triumph? Maybe. But I will play Slimefoot the Stowaway. He is actually the first crew member that Jorah had after restoring the Weatherlight. Because he's just a fungus that grew up and became a powerful creature of itself. Benthic Druid. I think I will go with the Power of Sarah. That'll trigger, but I'll regain more. The Faith of Sarah was something that Dominaria had for quite some time. Legendary Planeswalker, very special. But things just didn't always quite turn out. Should I go Ketria? I think I'll go Ketria. Yorion. It's good for combos, but I do believe I can push things a little further. Wait, that was... I see. Interesting. Could do Yorion, but... Okay, I will Zagath Triumph. You know Time of Ice will activate another time. Actually, that's better. Slimefoot, do your thing. Even without activating his ability, this is kind of interesting. Because he can make unlimited saprolings that if they die, you drain some life from your opponents too. Okay, they've gotten a lot of Amonkhet remastered. So you two go that way. Thank you. Wait, do I have 2 gates? No, not yet. I'm gonna hold on to that one. Okay, let's see here. What do I have left? I don't have enough to really untapped, but I can do so just to do so. Phylactery Lich. Interesting, but I don't really have an artifact to use that on right now. I may actually activate his ability. Because I see a couple of those things that I'll need to It will drain me a bit. She's from Yavimaya, and it's also a very important land in Dominaria that they had been through before. In fact, Yavimaya is also the location they actually got the hull of the ship from, because it was actually care of the great being known as Multani. He gave them a special seed that allowed them to create the ship. Very important. See, will an extra turn be enough, though? Not sure about that. So I may... Again, Phylactery Lich, I can't actually use you, even though you're cool. Need another power up for Slimefoot. I might want to just go ahead and Yorian. I wonder if this allows me to do something very particular. Yeah, I think I did that out of order. I was gonna try something, but I don't think I really can. I have a lot of cards, but I also need to get a little extra life. Okay, slime put. Nah, I need to be able to recover a bit more first. I was thinking of seeing if I could transfer the thing, but I'm not sure if that can happen. I'll have to see how that works. Like if you, because I'm pondering if you use Joran to blink an enchantment, can you choose where in the battlefield it goes in terms of the next creature? Like, can you transfer an aura that way? Because I was thinking of maybe transferring it to Joran, but I wasn't really sure. I'd like to try that again. Specifically with, because I thought I was going to use it, then I redecided, but we'll see if it comes up. Ornithopters are always interesting. Made by Urza, who also kind of helped out quite a bit with the Weatherlight. I mean, he made Karn, who was there with the crew, and I do believe he was on board the Weatherlight as primary artificer, and trying to use it to destroy the spawn of Phyrexia. They were a very nasty lot. I choose blue, so I'm gonna need it at some point. Also gives me the full sampler. I mean, I got Joira here, so that'll help. Got the island anyhow. That's classic. But yeah, I think Urza was the one who accidentally ushered in the time of ice, the Great Ice Age, and hence why I'm also doing tributes to it with Snowlands. I know they're from Kaldheim, but the theme fits. We Dragonauts. Okay, I see. Well, since I need a couple of blue there. I might wait on the Joran, though. So I will instead befuddle. Often cast by Teferi. He really likes that one. He was a bit of a trickster. And he was also part of the first Weatherlight crew. Hence again, I'm going with a theme here. It was surprising I was able to. But hey, whenever they did the set Dominaria, they brought back a lot of the classic characters. So, things happened. They're not attacking either. Guess they don't actually have an instant or sorcery to throw in my direction. I will proffer a bit of a plains. And get Joira out. So Joira is back. So new Weatherlight crew has arrived. And she's the captain. Whenever you cast a historic spell, draw a card. Thing is, me trying to do this deck means a lot of it is historic, so she complements a ton of it. Historic cards are any artifact, any enchantment that's a saga, and anything legendary at all. With enchantments, that's specifically sagas, like this one, and anything legendary regardless of what else it is, and any artifact. Beam Splitter Mage. Okay, that's an interesting choice. That one can get a little wacky. I'm not... Oh, here comes Karn. I was discussing him earlier. Okay, let's power up. I'm gonna go with Triumph of Gerard, actually. So Joran, get a boost. Oh, they're unsummoning. Well, if you're going to do that, I'm going to befuddle. A little later. Still triggered that, though. Haha. I think I'll keep my lands primed. Because I need to befuddle something. Oddly enough, they're helping my Ornithopter actually have power. Another Beam Splitter Mage. Again, very interesting choice. Because it only operates whenever you cast a spell on one of your own creatures. Which, I mean, there's various power-ups that do that. It has to be an instant or a sorcery, though, which is a little specific. I knew they'd try something like this. You may have to take one for the team, Ornithopter. But that's also why you're here. You're meant to be good early blockers. Okay. Still need crew. Why not? I mean, that thing's not gonna work correctly. But, well, is it gonna be this next round? Okay. That, answers that one. Yeah, they had a lot of unsummons. I may have to pull out...
Our actions determine the course of history.
a little bit of a trick.
Offensa!
Golos? Been a while since I've tried throwing you around. Let's do this thing. Because I can actually activate his ability, which is sort of ridiculous. So, basically I'm trading a few hits on me. I was surprised they didn't target Karn, because he's such a fantastic target. Take action. I will actually feel like taking an island for some reason. Don't think I actually need one, but we'll see.
You will not threaten this world.
I think I'll go with Bantu's Monument. Now every creature that I cast will be instant life drain. He can't activate that ability until I do the other thing, though. But this can be actually made to a legendary artifact creature. Again, why I put Bantus in here is because it's part of the events that led to the War of the Spark. Was all based on Nicol Bolas, which the Weatherlight crew had been knowledgeable about for quite some time. And they've been basically doing some things partially because of stuff he set in motion. So they had their beefs with him, to say the least. Do I want to activate the ability? I might not. I might actually Yorion. And why? Because I can blink him back and he'll get his full complement. Golos is kind of like Karn. He's a legendary artifact creature. Karn was the first, though, but then he became a planeswalker. He's pretty much the only artificial planeswalker that there'd ever been, created by the Absolute Master Urza as part of the project to use various artifacts together, including the Weatherlight itself, to destroy Phyrexia. Because the Phyrexians were an insane threat to the multiverse, and they had to be destroyed. So there were reasons behind that, and they were all really good reasons. Now I'll activate Golos. He was basically the prototype. Yeah, they're land, so I can't do that.
My grief fuels my mission.
Yorion? Let's rampage. They may have enough to take me down afterwards, but I got in some interesting moments. But yeah, Karn was the prototype for legendary artifact creatures, and Golos became one of them later. So he's a different kind of follow-up, even though he's more of a sideboard thing. Wow, I'm surprised. They gave up when they realized I was about to trample them multiple times with Yorion. Okay, that's fair. I accept their psychological defeat that way whenever they realized that I was just going to keep ramping things up after that. Possibly on my companion Yorion. Yorion was there because I like big decks and I cannot lie. And he is the premier companion for big decks, because you have to have at least 80 cards in a deck to have Yorion. Now, your companions don't count against your deck numbers or for them because they're always in your sideboard and pulled in later. But you can always have a companion creature in your deck without doing that. It's just that if you want them to be a companion, you have to do that. Just build around whatever rule they've got. This is going to be interesting. Varix Bladewing. I don't have red right now, but again, I have a lot of non-basic land that helps in various ways. So we'll see what I get. I mean, this deck is just absurdly high in land. And Raf Capuchin, he's got an interesting part of history. One of the first Weatherlight crew members was considered one of the perfect humans. And that was Joran Capuchin. And his legacy has included some of the Capuchin family, including Raf Capuchin, as well as Danitha Capuchin. And they've carried on the legacy of him being one of the greatest ever since his massive triumph over the powerhouse that was, you know, I might actually be able to pull off. I don't have enough room in my hand right now for Yorion, so sorry, buddy, you're gonna have to wait. But yeah, I mean, there was the Stronghold saga, and they had to deal with a very powerful individual that was doing some really nasty experiments. Some really serious magical experiments that could have made him a new superpower, so they had to stop him before that happened. I'm trying to remember his name. Volrath. That was it. It was Volrath. Suddenly it just popped in. It's like, that was Volrath. I was like, okay. Let's have a snow-covered forest for no particular reason. Raf Capuchin, ship's mage, flying in. Yep. And carrying on even further for being a Capuchin, and one whose family had the history of someone who was originally a member. Ouch. That hurt. I wasn't going to block with him anyhow because special abilities. Ooh, Mesa Unicorn. I could do a trade with that. Okay, I'm just gonna fly overhead. Give you a quick bonk. Master Wizard, but is he really a Master Wizard? Oh, Cry of the Carnarium. That was painful. Oh, that was a combo. But, well, Mulgrowth the Grave Tide won't be able to help me out against that thing because they're exiled. But she'll help me with things that are in my graveyard. But as I was saying, he carried on the legacy of the Capuchins by becoming a member of the Weatherlight crew whenever it was revived. So he carried on his ancestors' legacy. So, beautiful story of him just persisting to going, okay, if one of my deep ancestors could do this, then I'll bite. Either Yorion crushes that Firewheeler, or they neutralize each other. Yeah, they neutralized each other. Thanks, Yorion. Because once I get Mulgrowtha going around, you will be avenged. Oh, that was just, let's both play a creature. don't have the mana to power that up instantly. But later on, that will be a smasher. No. I don't have the power to make the gill. Great trade. I was just talking about Dance of Capuchin. I will smack you for 6, just to smack you for 6. Even though she would have probably been the better call. But as much fire as they're throwing around, I'm not sure that's really the case. Now she's got First Strike, Vigilance, and Lifelink. And Aura and equipment spells you cast cost 1 generic less to cast. Again, she is a Capuchin. Oh, they hit me with Skewer the Critics. I'm not a critic, but I got skewered. Okay, so maybe I was being a little critical of him actually being able to be entitled a Master Wizard. So maybe I was being a little bit of a heckler there. I mean, that could have been an appropriate moment. I don't exactly follow the rules of karma normally at all, but I just got something similar anyhow. Now, I did get a pack, did fulfill my quest, so let's see what I've got with Kaldheim. Now, I did get a win or two in there. Now I have a rare that I can throw around somewhere. Rune of Flight. Yeah, I didn't get the Rune of Speed while I was during the draft. Probably could have just to collect the runes while I could, but I accept that. But just getting it here is one of my uncommons. I'm good with that. Skull Raid. See, Rune of Flight gives the equipped creature or the equipment the ability of flight, and you draw a card whenever it comes to the battlefield. So these things are very useful in a lot of ways. Augury Raven can be foretold. Why? Because it's a raven. Don't let it tell you nevermore. That's not a good sign. Run amok. Target creature. This is a reprint. I actually have this elsewhere. Namely, I have this in Magic Duels somewhere. Skull Raid. Target opponent discards 2 cards. If fewer than 2 cards were discarded this way, you draw cards equal to the difference. This is interesting because you can gain some cards yourself if they don't have enough. So that's a very interesting thought. Now, what's my guaranteed rare or mythic rare here? Another Old Growth Troll. I accept that. It's a very interesting troll. So, yeah. I mean, I got 4 completely new cards out of 8. So, half of them were completely new. And I could possibly do a little working around with that rare wild card. Let's see here. I was going to spend a rare on something related to gods, avatars, and other things, possibly. We've got Kaldheim currently here. But even if I get extra copies of some things, it's okay because some of those are bimodal. So the question is, do I want to throw down a rare and grab something extra special right now? Because I could. Koria's also got some... I mean, not a Koria. Theros has some god-related stuff too because it's based on Greek mythology. So let's toss some stuff into a very interesting thing here. So you can isolate what you want based on it not being collected yet and matching the wild card you'd like to spend. So I'm saying rare here. And let's say out of Theros Beyond Death. Coriolaria, the Behemoth, has a lot of good things in it, but not as much as Divine there. Obviously, we have Kaldheim. Zendikar Rising is not very divine-ish. We have War of the Spark. That did have, because the God Eternals came in. Ixalan Rivals of Ixalan actually kind of did, but that was more Avatar-based. I'm trying to go with literal God cards first. And things like that. So, Amonkhet Remastered. Was there any of them that were rare that I could get that way? That is a question. Well, Sigrid God-favored. But that's also not a bimodal card, and it's good to go for a bimodal card just because if you get another copy, you can put both of them in your deck, and that way you can actually have both legendary things out at the same time when one is a creature and one's something else. Or maybe a different legendary creature in the case of Alrund. So, because the Legends rule prevents you from having two of the exact same legendary something on the field at the same time, but in that case you can actually kind of get two. And you can choose which one you cast first. So, that's actually pretty handy. Let me see. Approach of the Second Sun is interesting, because it had to do with the power of Nicol Bolas, and his imminent power incoming. Also, that thing makes some stuff just very malefic. Cosima, God of the Voyage. Okay, so he fits this. And he's very interesting because of how he works. So he's definitely on my list of ones I'd like to have and wouldn't mind an extra copy, because he's paired with the Omen Keel, legendary artifact vehicle, and as you saw me crewing up the beautiful Weatherlight, when you crew a vehicle, it becomes an artifact creature for until the end of that turn, and crewing can be done on another player's turn. You can quickly crew it and then block with it. So I prevented them from being able to pull off some things just because. That's a very special exception, and because clerics tend to worship gods, that's how they get their power, because that's how they use their divine magic. Some things related to them that way would also be interesting. In Vizier of Many Faces, the Shapeshifter Cleric has a very special thing for me, because I once actually copied a god card with this. That was in a story mode mission in Amonkhet. So I had a god card. I had to embalm this to get it to work. So I had a legendary zombie card, darn lips, a legendary zombie god creature before War of the Spark ever happened. So I kind of had a bit of a premonition of that in game and didn't even realize it. Commit and Memory is interesting. You get, if you in fact, it's good to have 2 copies of Memory. Or just more copies of it so you can use it more often to keep reshuffling your deck. And Aftermath is interesting because you specifically use it from your graveyard, so that always penalizes people who are trying to mill you. Because if you can just cast it from your graveyard, you actually want it in your graveyard, especially when the way Aftermath works is it's specifically cast from your graveyard. It's not able to be cast from your hand, so whenever it pops in, it's like, oh, by the way, redo the whole thing. And if you've got a really big deck, that just makes it more interesting. So, Vizier of Many Faces, that is a maybe. Now, Cosima has... let me give you a rundown of what his ability actually means. The more times you've actually used it, the stronger he gets, because he'll have a very special kind of counter on him that will never get lost, even if he's exiled. In fact, that means the more times he is doing his voyage where he exiles himself for a little while, he comes back stronger each time. So that's a very interesting thought, that he goes on a legendary journey to power himself up. Thrixt Sudden Storm isn't exactly a god card, but the giants in Theros are basically a lot of, especially the legendaries, are basically modeled after Titans, which were basically pre-god creatures that the gods had to bind because they were too dangerous, or at least too wild-natured, I should say. Okay, let's see here. Bantu's Last Reckoning. Was there one for... Maybe there wasn't for... Did they not include all of the God's Last Moves from Amonkhet Remastered? Because there was like one for each god before. For each of the 5 gods of the trials. That was how it was before. It's like their last big stand against Bolus when it reinvaded. Anger of the Gods is good in general. Like that is a thought. Because it has to do with gods. So again, if I do like a divine god type deck, that would be a serious thought. Now, I'm not too much of a fan of her artifact, so I'm not necessarily going to spend a rare on Bergie just because if I get 2 copies, I wouldn't be playing the Horn simultaneously. I would, however, have another copy of her just in case, but yeah, that's not exactly the way. I'm not going to play that Horn. It's just... it's just kind of a little odd to use. So I'm not a big fan of Berserker-style decks where you damage your own deck. So there's kind of that thing. Oh, I remember being annoyed by this card so much during the story missions in Amonkhet. The Hazoret section always liked throwing that out, even though in that exact time you weren't actually allowed to have it in Magic Duels, even though it was part of the physical set. So that was absurdly annoying. Like, hey, I can't do that, what the heck? And then it's just like, yeah, let's just throw this out. Just like, everything burns. And it's like, ah, man. So that was very annoying. Yeah, I don't see anything about Hazoret there. So I don't think they have each god's big thing. Now, Joran, God of Winter, is interesting, because he deals with everything snow. And his artifact lets you resurrect snow permanents from your graveyard. So that's an interesting thing to spend on. Especially when it's actually a legendary snow god. So, that's a thought. But do I really want to spend that now? I also got an eye for this indestructible squirrel. But that's also a whole other story there. Oh, Aseka's Chariot is actually a rare. I was thinking it was more, but I guess not. But it's interesting what that does. I'm going to try to get that eventually, but do I spin now? Oh, the other green one, Kalvori, is actually just a rare. Okay, because the pattern that they had a lot in Kaldheim is having one rare of a color that's a god and one that's a mythic rare, so that's a little bit different. That, of course, admittedly, the God of Winter was a very different style. So the Ringheart Crest is basically a mana booster. But Kalvori, that has some interesting ideas there. Especially when it has to do with legends. Also, the hours kind of have to do with some... he served the gods of Amonkhet until he found out that Bolus was basically punking them all. So, yeah, Timid, you served your duty well. Just things just didn't turn out so well for you. It was very interesting, though. Let's see, any more that are just rare? This guy is ridiculous when played right. I've seen people do some very crazy things with Rawl, but again, he's not exactly on the specific list. Hepatra, the Vizier of Poisons, was also a servant of the Amonkhet gods until Nicobolus decided to reveal to all that he was in fact a douche. So there is that. Serulf Realm Eater. That thing is dangerous, but not technically a god. Yeah, not technically a god. This thing's technically a god, even though it's not legendary, because anything with all creature types is also technically a god. So that's kind of a funny thing to think of, that you can have a non-legendary god. It's like... But that's how Changeling works, so... This thing, all creature types, same as Changeling. It's just interesting. This one lets you boost a god. Like... It gives you colorless mana, but then you can target a legendary creature and it becomes a god in addition to its other types, and it gets a +1/+1 counter. Or you can also pay a bit more and sack this thing, and one target god gets an indestructible counter. Now, that also means you can have a non-legendary god with indestructible, because again, Changeling and or anything that says all creature types, because all creature types also means they're a god. So that works. This one, although it sounds heroic, doesn't actually have anything to do with gods. Now, God Pharaoh's Gift, that has to do with Nicobolus becoming the God Pharaoh and fooling them a lot. So, his cosmic level trickery really got them there. So, that thing can be interesting. It's not a legendary artifact, so you can have more than one, but it's just one of those things that I don't think I'd want to use more than one. The Cosmos Elixir is basically how the gods got their immortality in Kaldheim, which is interesting thought. And that makes everything a god. In addition to every other creature type there is, and regardless of circumstance. So, and you can create more shapeshifters, which all have Changeling, and therefore are gods. So it's like everything. The implications of that is just kind of hilarious when you think about it. It really is. Okay. I don't know. I may not spin that one immediately, because I'm just not having as much having to do with gods and previous ones that I'm really saying is that one that just says yes. Like, I know I will get the World Tree at some point. I might just hold on to some rares for whenever Kaldheim rotates out of being the primary set that is featured and that you get as part of your leveling up, because that'll mean they're harder to get, and it's better to actually spend wildcards on that to get them from previous sets. So I might wait until afterwards to really spend that. I'm not sure. I might make my decision later, but I did get a rare wildcard, and I will be seriously considering that. So I might get one of the gods earlier. I might not. I'm not sure. I know I got some mythic rares to spend in some interesting situations, and I'll definitely be showing that when it happens, but for now I'll be blogging off. It was good showing off my Weatherlight deck, though, because, again, there's a lot of history of that. I might show more runs with that other times when I'm just playing around with it. But for now, I'll be logging off. Hope to hear from you all later. Bye for now, everybody, and remember, MTG forever.